Hello there. Tonight I wanted to talk, well, I'll get to it, but kind of a metaphorical sense of things. But first off, I'll talk about my Stuka and how that sort of describes exactly what I'm about to explain to you. But anyway, describing the Stuka itself, you may not have noticed, but is one of the propeller blades is actually broken. That I glued on a piece from an old comb of mine. It broke here, and waste not, want not, so I broke that piece off and super glued it. Okay, so with enough pressure, I'm sure that'd come off fairly easily, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to be seeing any action anytime soon. Yeah, so, aesthetically it looks better, and although it's not the exact same dimensions as the other propeller blades, as you can tell from certain angles, if you're casually looking at it, you're not going to notice. Or if you're not really interested, you're not going to notice. But anyway, yeah, this is a Dinky's toy. Where does it say? Made in merry old England, probably 60s, 70s. So it's not worth a lot of money. That's why I, didn't have any problem with adding this little piece to it, simply to make it aesthetically look better. Yeah, you can get these for about 20 bucks on eBay. In fact, they have one in better condition that has its bomb attachment here. I didn't pay 14 bucks for it. I paid less for it, but that was a while back actually. And I like toys like this because they're old styled. Okay, I'm sure the paint, I'm sure, is very bad if you were to ingest it. It probably has lead in it. Well, simple answer is don't put it in your mouth. Don't be an idiot, and you'll be fine. Anyway, here's where I'm using these as a kind of a symbol, really. Okay, this is a Spitfire with Nazi markings on it. It was commonplace for the enemy to always try and capture specimens of vehicles and basically whatever weaponry or technology that the enemy had. That's been going on since war started, is figuring out exactly what capability the enemy has. And at first I didn't really believe the story, that they'd actually captured a RAF Spitfire and repurposed it. Now, I highly doubt it was ever used in any kind of action, but they did actually capture them, if not partially destroyed ones, ones that possibly ran out of fuel or whatever. For whatever reason, they had to land. And, so they did have actually fully functional RAF fighter crafts, the Germans did. And they probably simply tore every one of them, nut to its last nut and bolt, simply to learn everything about it. But there was always this egotism, like there's no way the enemy's better than us, what we've got is better, and they ignored, whatever advantages the enemy's, technology had to offer, simply because they didn't want to hear it. And that's foolish. And how this metaphorically I've got to say about this towards me is that as a sent to Coventry, involuntary celibate, Isle of Silence type of guy, and I'm in this position because I have enemies, there's no doubt about it. People who simply do not like me at all, and to such a point that they're not content with simply, being assholes whenever I run into them. They are simply assholes all the time, and I don't even get to see them be assholes, but it affects my life. And the thing is, that is going to change because my physical health is improving, and, they're losing their authority to tell me what to do exactly. And, I doubt very much they liked that. I mean, they would have liked the idea that I was in chronic pain and, lived in a, rental basement suite and, I was swept out of society's way, but that simply didn't happen. But, so what I'm saying here is that, although I don't like the idea of it, but, I'm gonna have to accept something, and that's that whomever shows up around is gonna be a new face at some point in time. I think the term is called psychoanalyzing, where basically they're checking you out all the way, like mannerisms, behavior patterns, the physical traits, everything. And I still have mysteries about me because I haven't shared them on YouTube, and that isn't really anybody's business. The fact is, most people don't have a YouTube channel to begin with, so they have no right going, well, we don't know this about you. We don't know what your feet look like, for example. Well, mind your own, for example. When you try that. But anyway, so I'm going to have to deal with people psychoanalyzing me. And whoever it is that comes around is going to be that way. There are a lot of people who are, they're passive aggressive. They don't have any problems with lying when they have to. They've been trained to lie without a conscience. And, there are reasons why they do this, mostly to exercise their powers, but sometimes it's to, simply because they believe they're right and they don't want to waste the time or bother or inform anyone of anything, because then they can think about it and then they understand, so then they can get a better mindset of what the enemy is about. So, I mean, not to go so far as to, capture an enemy's technology, but, I am going to learn things about these people, and I'm going to learn of how much more capable and how much further along and advanced they are in sociological problems. And modern society and things like that. However, as I said, there's still some mysteries about me, so yeah, don't count me out yet. But there was a time in my life where I didn't think about those sort of things, and I wish that could continue. Well, I didn't have to worry about being judged or people having opinions about me, and they don't say it right to my face and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I guess it's a thing that's been around me my entire life, but I never really thought about it. And I think it's pathetic, to be honest with you, and a lot of things that a lot of people think are quite pathetic. Like, it's one of those things, I don't like it when people lie. I understand why they lie, and, or I try to anyway, the best I can, but I don't like it. I don't like it when people lie. It's a pet peeve. And I don't like passive-aggressive people. It's irritating. And I don't care if they put that face on, and then supposedly if you get to know them, they're not like that. It's not true. Because if they put that mask on and that's who they are, in one form or another and different social situations, then that means that persona could return when you think that they're, being, normal with you. And it's like, I don't want to be around someone who's used to lying, who's, kind of shifty. There's a lot of, unkind but textbook definition words you can call these type of people. Shifty, for those of you who don't know, means evasive and scheming and deceptive. And, I'm well aware of that. And there are people who are trained to be that way. And it's all about them exercising power because they got a complex. And if they do it in one form or another, it means that personality trait will return for whatever reason, and you may not see it coming. You may not understand it. And, especially if it's a group effort. And, yeah, it's irritating. It really is. Yeah. Whatever, I got my hobbies, so that's okay. Don't have to think about that all the time. But there's two courses of action here that I see as what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be a small group of people, nobody I know right now, because I actually know the people around me quite well in a lot of ways. Not other people not so well, but other people I know extremely well. And they don't have to say or do anything for me to understand exactly what's going on. And, that they want new people in, people I don't know, people who have perfected the art of lying and being devious and, scheming, premeditating. They call it planning, but that's premeditation. That's a dirty word, but simply, thinking of the future and trying to make it, like trying to say that's me, or anything of that nature, or what they have planned for me. Like, seriously, like, there are people out there, like, and you guarantee you go to watch a movie with them, for say, and they'll pick a movie and it's like, oh, it's some random movie, we'll watch it and it'll be fun. And it's like, no, you picked that movie for a manipulative reason. And that is going to be a discussion that is not going to go well with a passive-aggressive person, in the sense that they're going to get annoyed and they're going to stomp off. And I'm going to say, if you want to stomp off, then stomp off. I don't care. I'm not doing what you tell me, and I don't like the idea of you trying to manipulate me. I wouldn't try that on you. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, after all these years, I've really, passive-aggressive. It's very, very, very irritating. But, reacting badly is what they want you to do. So, obviously, that's not what I'm going to do, because I don't do what people want me to do. And, it's one of them things. Yeah, so, as I said, there's two courses of action. One, there are plenty of people, around about my age who are not trained to be notorious liars, that are not trained to, have a phrase book of about 50 phrases that they use, and they can, judge you based on your response to what they've said. And then, obviously from their perspective, try to make it worse or sound more, whatever, in comparison. But the thing is, if anyone's around me long enough, and I mean, I'll find out if they're a liar, like within the first 20 minutes of me meeting them. Like, no doubt about it. However, there'll be people who they themselves have not been trained to be that way, but maybe they're related to or have friends that are trained to be that way, and the only thing they need to do is to turn around and tell whomever figure what they've seen in the behavioral traits that I have. So, like, I still believe, it doesn't matter who's around me, I'm being psychoanalyzed all the time. They want to see what makes me tick. And, obviously that's, after living in a bubble for so many years, that's, obviously, that's, something to think about. And to go, well, I don't know what these people are thinking, and I know they're judgmental, and some of them really don't like me. Those aren't the people I'm going to meet, more than likely, but, I suspect they're going to send people who, if I knew everything about them, I wouldn't really like them, but they're hoping, because I've had no social contact, that I'm immediately going to get clingy to any chick that happens to come around, and be friendly, even if only for a little while, and I'll always remember that, and whatever social circle of friends that they happen to be in, if they've been particularly bad to me, it's like it'll dull it down, and that's not gonna work. I may go, oh, I like this person, that's perfectly fine, but if they're the face of an organization that caused me a lot of grief, then that's not gonna dull that thought process on the whole thing. Like I know that for a fact, that women and sex, it's a very manipulative thing, and when you've never had it, it's easy for it to be effective. It's when you're not used to physical stimuli, such as a person as myself. So I don't want to be deeply suspicious. However, I can't trust anybody. It can't be done. There's no logical reason to trust anybody. And, like I said before, there are reasons to lie. And sometimes they're, acceptable reasons, and sometimes they're, that's them exercising their power, which is the case most of the time. But yeah, you gotta tune all this sort of stuff out, and try and not let any of it phase you. But what they like to do is make it so that even the smallest social or physical stimuli generates a big response, because you're not used to that physical or social stimuli. So, for example, if a bunch of people turned around and started laughing at you for whatever reason, that could have a psychological effect, and even a grown man who has never really experienced that theoretically could cry, or be ashamed, get red in the face. I mean, that could happen to anybody, but it's the creeping, like, off in the distance type of things, and when they come closer, even if they're still far away, it's like your senses are attuned to that. And it's not that you've got a sixth sense or anything like that. It's just a bunch of assholes running around. And you gotta go. I'm very fascinated with the opportunity to have that challenge of studying the enemy. And like I said earlier as well, egotism doesn't play a factor necessarily. I mean, it does, but at least for me, if I can see that they've done something better, I'm not going to use it because it's the enemy's way of doing things. But you can't view everyone that comes near you as the enemy, but you can to an extent. Simply because of, other factors. And for guys like me, you have to take into consideration that knowing how your enemy is going to behave is knowing how you are as a person, and what context they're coming into your life as said person. And this it's a multifaceted conversation, and one I will continue to think about, because I don't have much choice here. I gotta keep myself occupied. Anyway, I will talk to you people later. Have a good one.